Hi friends, in this video we are going to cover the topic I/O devices in I/O management of the operating systems. So in this video we are going to cover categories of I/O devices, differences in I/O devices, performing I/O, and evaluation of the I/O function. So these four topics we are going to cover in this video. So first we will see what are the categories of I/O devices. So the I/O devices are categorized broadly into three types. Here the first one is human readable I/O devices. So these devices are used to communicate with the user. Means in general we are giving the instructions to the computer through keyboard and mouse. We are getting the data or content from the from the monitor, from the printers. So the data available for this communication can be in human readable format. So the devices which are having the data in human readable format, those devices are called human readable I/O devices. The next one is machine readable devices. So here the data cannot be understandable for the user, and these devices are used to communicate with electronic equipment. So they establish the communication between the devices, not between the device and human. So the example for machine readable I/O devices are hard disks, tape drives, sensors, controllers, etc. And the last category of devices are communication devices. So these devices are used to communicate with remote devices. Generally for establishing networks we can use the communication devices like modems, digital line drivers, routers, etc. So the mainly I/O devices are categorized into three types: human readable devices, machine readable devices, and communication devices. So next we will discuss differences in I/O devices. So the I/O devices can be differentiated based on various factors. So first, based on the data rate, we can differentiate the I/O devices. Data rate means data transfer rate. So it can be varied from one device to another device. So in this figure, the x-axis is having data rate, bits per second, 10 power 1, 10 power 2, 10 power 3, like that. These are bits per second. On y-axis we have different devices: keyboard, mouse, modem, floppy disk, up to gigabyte Ethernet. So here you can easily observe the keyboard having very less data rate and the gigabyte Ethernet having huge data rate, and these devices are increasing in data rate while moving from origin to the above, the y-axis. On the y-axis the devices having highest data rate. So based on the data rate we can differentiate the devices. Some devices are very slow devices, some devices are medium devices, some devices are high data transfer rate devices. So the next criteria is application. So based on the application, based on the usage of the application, or based on the application softwares available for specific devices, we can differentiate the I/O devices. For example, file management software in disks, and memory management software, virtual memory management software and related hardware on disk, and terminals used for the system administrator. So based on that also we can categorize the I/O devices. Next, based on complexity of control also we can differentiate the I/O devices. See, in some devices, for example printer requires a simpler control interface when compared to hard disk. hard disk having very complex control interface. And unit of transfer. On some devices, data can be transferred as a stream of bytes, but for some devices, the data can be transferred larger blocks for a disk. Example, terminals. So terminals can transfer large blocks of data, while keyboards or mouse can transfer a stream of bytes. That is about unit of transfer. Data representation. Different data encoding schemes are used by different devices. Each device has its own instructions, so that each device has its own encoding schemes. It may vary from one device to another device. And based on error conditions also, we can differentiate the I/O devices. So errors are different types. That's based on the devices, based on the functionality of the devices. Different types of errors, different error handling mechanisms, and also different response of errors. Okay, so based on these errors also we can differentiate the I/O devices. Next we will understand performing I/O. I/O can be performed, means operations on I/O, how the operations are performed. This can be carried out based on three categories: programmed I/O, interrupt driven I/O, direct memory access. So performing I/O are categorized into programmed I/O, interrupt driven I/O, direct memory access. In programmed I/O, the processor issues one command to the I/O module, and each time processor has to monitor whether the work is in progress or not. It gets the status of the work and stored in the corresponding registers. Always processor is focused on the task is completed or not. Until the completion of that particular task, then only processor goes to the further task. So for that reason, process is busy waiting for the operations to complete. That is about programmed I/O. Next, interrupt driven I/O. So it can be carried out in two modes, non-blocking and blocking. So in the non-blocking mode, processor continues executing instructions from the current process. That means processor executing the instructions, and finally the I/O module sends an interrupt when the task completed. And in the blocking mode, means in non-blocking, the processor is continuously for executing the same task. But in blocking mode, there is an interleaving concept. Processor executes the instructions. After some time, the current process is put it in waiting queue. That is, it is blocked, and the processor gives time for another process. There is an interleaving concept. That is interrupt driven I/O. The next one is direct memory access. So in direct memory access, it establishes the communication between the I/O device and memory without the interference of CPU. That means through direct memory access, I/O device can send blocks of data to the memory devices or gets the blocks of data from the memory devices. It minimizes the processor intervention. So these are the three types of I/O performance. So next one is the evaluation of the I/O function. How I/O function can be carried out. So there are so many types of functionalities designed starting from the introduction of the computer. Now we will observe the evaluation process. So the first one, here the processor directly controls a peripheral device. That means there is no intermediate device in between the processor and I/O device. So directly a processor can interact with the device. It is possible in case of microprocessor control devices. Directly microprocessor control the device without any I/O module or etc. So the later controller or designed controller or I/O module. Here the processor uses programmed I/O without interrupts. That means processor gives the instructions to the I/O module, and processor doesn't need to handle detail of external devices. That will take care of I/O modules. But processor is in waiting until the completion of the work. So it involves waiting. Later, this controller or I/O module, whatever using earlier, an interrupt concept is added. Controller or I/O module with interrupts. So with interrupts means here the processor doesn't spend much time for I/O. It simply gives the instructions. Meanwhile, it goes to execute for another process, or it allocates time for another process. So it is more efficient, so that it reduces the waiting. Okay. Then direct memory access. In direct memory access, always there is a communication between the I/O device and main memory. So here the processor involved at beginning and end only. In between, the I/O module communicate with the memory, main memory, for sending data or receiving data. Next, I/O module is a separate processor. It consists specialized instruction set. So the I/O module was developed as a separate processor. When you talk about separate processor, definitely it consists of its own instruction sets. So it reduces the burden of the processor. Then later, separate I/O processor was established. Okay, the I/O module as a separate processor initially. Later, it can be changed to I/O processor. So there is a dedicated I/O processor on the device. I/O processor means it has its own instructions, it has its own memory, it works like a computer, but this cannot be used in normal personal computers. This can be used for the devices where the interactive terminals are used. So in case of video conferencing, like that, if there is more interaction, there are more terminals which interact with the operating system. In such cases, we need the I/O processor. So these are the different evolution of the I/O function. So guys, I hope you understand this session well. Okay, thank you.